Gergo Gulias from Wolf's X, Natalie Torbey from Scaleway, Rodrigo Olmedo from You Globally, and the panel will be moderated by our lovely colleague, Alaina, the head of community partnerships and head of volunteers. Guys, come on!
Hello, everyone. Hi, we have I think this is the most fun panel for today. So I think this is the last one for today and for the whole event, right? No, it's not. Okay. It's the last before the last. Yes, I'm having fun already. I mean, this is the chill panel. So yes, so let's just do a quick background check. So my name is Elena, and I'm from Belarus, and I work in Poland. I also worked with teams from Georgia and Ukraine and Belarus and Poland, and basically our team is very multinational. I think once we checked how many languages we speak, and it was like 15 in total, like our team, and we have 15 people. And yeah, maybe we can start with Rodrigo, with your background, where you come from. What do you do? Like, where do you live now? What do you do? How did you come here?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, my name is Rodrigo. Very glad to be here. I am from Brazil, but I live in the Netherlands, and now I'm in Poland, so that already says quite a lot. But basically, I have a company called You Globally, where we support tech companies expanding internationally. And in our portfolio of customers, we have companies from more than 40 countries going to I don't even know how many different countries. So we deal with different cultures and just different way of doing business across the world every single day. And very happy to share a few of the fun stories, of course, but also very good learnings on things that you should definitely not do, but obviously also things that you can do and how to navigate those differences.
Okay. Greg, you're next.
Yeah, so as you heard, my name is Greg, for real. But my real name is Gergő Gulyás, so as you can find out, I'm from Hungary. Goulash soup is from Hungary, so my name is Gulyás. Anyway, long story. I have a very weird Italian accent for some reason, but I also have a British passport, so I'm already very multicultural. And my main domains are international expansion programs. Say, for instance, we did it together for Brazil. It's up and running with Azerbaijan. Now we have Korean clients representing LG. What else? So pretty international work-wise, and also work with international team. So
I think I counted like 5 languages, so 5 countries already. So, Natalie.
Hi, I'm Natalie. I'm half Egyptian, half Italian. I don't speak Italian, but I speak Egyptian. I lived in Dubai most of my school years, and then I went back to Egypt. I've been working in recruitment since 2013. I worked in Egypt, in Poland, and today in Paris. I speak French as well, and I'm working in the recruitment, leading the recruitment team in Scaleway.
I was actually wondering where the French accent came from. It makes sense now.
How come you don't speak Italian, actually?
I just have the passport from my grandma, but it's such a shame that I don't speak it.
Greg can speak some.
Well, at least I have the Italian accent for you.
Yes, he has Italian accent when he's speaking English. Have you heard? Like, really?
True.
So let's see if this is true, actually. We can test our accent.
Actually, genetically, I'm Italian as well.
Oh, really?
Like nearly 10% or something.
Okay.
And my father looks very Italian, and he played music with Lucio Dalla. So if you are really from Italy...
Lucio Dalla, really? Oh.
So that's a big thing. So, yeah.
So you can sing a little piece of the song, the most famous one?
Rather not to, but...
Okay.
Okay, anyway. My name is Angelo Burgarello. I'm originally from Italy, and I live in Czech Republic. I work in Czech Republic, in Prague. And I'm one of the partners at AI Startup Incubator, which is an investment company that invests in AI startups. We are also launching our new VC in the next few months. It's going to be called Look AI Ventures, and we're going to use it to reinvest in startups in our portfolio and also invest in 36 new AI startups from the European region and also beyond.
That's so cool.
Actually, even being Italian, I'm always say that, oh, you are not really Italian because you are from Sicily.
Oh,
so I also have this other thing on my shoulder, yeah. apart from all the stereotypes, as you can imagine, being an Italian living abroad, I have also the Sicilian one. So the first things that I've told is, oh, so mafia. Yeah, of course. And I was talking to Rosie maybe last time that there's this new movie. I don't know if you saw it.
No.
Probably I would
Probably
even
no.
mention it. Okay, so I will not mention it as bad.
Okay.
Okay, it's fine.
No product placement here. Okay, so thank you for the background check. And like the next thing I want to ask you is when you were moving to the country, like first country you moved in, or like now where you work now, what were your expectations versus what you got into reality? Like I'm talking about stereotypes, misconceptions, and all this stuff. Maybe let's start with Greg. I'll just start with every other person each time.
So basically, when I moved to the UK the first time, I thought the English people are very well dressed and polite. And actually, sorry, but it's not really true. And yeah, some of them are. And that was a huge, well, this is not disappointment, but I learned a few new things. So say, for instance, fish and chips only on Fridays.
Oh, I didn't know about this.
Yeah.
Okay. Natalie?
When I moved to Poland, I thought that it would be another world, another earth, because I thought that we come from very different background, and we do, but at the same time, work was work. So it was really the same thing. I was doing the same thing: recruitment, sourcing, candidates. I mean, we are the same. One of the first things that was different for me, that I was working on a Friday and having a weekend on a Sunday, because in Egypt it's not the case at all. So Friday was the weekend and Sunday was the first day of the week.
Okay.
So that was a big difference for me that took time, and today I cannot go back and work on a Sunday, for example. So I've been so used to it.
Okay. Rodrigo, what about you?
I have so many of them.
Just choose one.
I'll get the first one. So before living in the Netherlands, I also studied in Canada for about a year.
Okay.
And the thing that I know and I always knew from Brazil is that we're very warm people. But I didn't know how that was different in practice, right? And in Brazil, if you get to know someone, we're very huggy and very touchy. And people there are not like that at all. And I learned that the worst way possible, as you can imagine. I remember my first day in university, I was talking to a few people. And then in Brazil, if you get to know someone, like usually guys shake hands and you give a kiss on the cheek of a girl. But I didn't know that was not the same in Canada. So that's exactly what happened. I said hi, and I gave her a kiss and a small hug. And you know that super awkward silence?
Yeah.
Everybody was looking at me like I killed someone. And I was like, what happened here? I don't know what's going on. And that happened so many times. Oh my God. Even with Finnish culture is also very different in Brazilian in that sense.
Okay.
And I remember when I met a few Finnish people, they were still coming into the country. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to make them feel very welcome. And I went hugging everyone. And they were so uncomfortable. Oh my God. Like we were in a party and everybody just looked at me, everyone, like the whole party was just staring at me, looking at what is this alien doing to these people?
Some, fluids and love. Yeah. Angela, what about you?
It must be related to work environment, or it can be related to also other ones. Because the question could be, it's a tough one, because I have many and there is a huge overlap. But probably one that is worth mentioning is that in Czech Republic, people used to call Thursdays like small Fridays.
Okay.
Yeah, they say čtvrtek je malý pátek.
Okay.
So Thursday are small Fridays. And that's because they actually appreciate the fact that the weekend is going to come even sooner than all the other countries. So the Friday is the moment where you reflect a little bit more, you take a couple of coffees on top of the usual ones that you take and relax a little bit more. So I discovered by myself that Fridays are not really super effective as they are in other countries in Czech Republic, but it's actually a good moment to, let's say, plan the activities for the next week, and I kind of get into this kind of thing too. Then a huge difference is also garlic. But this is not work related. And being an Italian, we use garlic in a really specific manner, because we all love to cook, and garlic is one ingredient that is essential. Yeah. So, but we remove the garlic out of any kind of fried preparation, prepared food that we do, and we don't smash it and put it there and leave it there, because it could be dangerous in business meetings, for example, right?
Yeah, you will not
And-
hear the next interview.
Yeah, so I think that this doesn't happen in many countries in the region, I would say. I don't know if Poland does this one too, but Czech Republic loves garlic.
I didn't notice this actually, but let's see. Let's see maybe in a couple of years. Okay, and like the next question is about stereotypes. So, Angelo, Italians are late, and like no one is like everyone's like, okay, we'll do this tomorrow. This is stereotype, right?
Greg, when you sent me the last email, I didn't reply.
2.5 months ago, and actually I pinged you. That was a ping already. So the first one went out 3 months ago, and then I pinged you, and still waiting for a reply. So please make sure it happens.
Okay, so that's it. That's my answer.
Okay, this is not a stereotype then. But do you have any other stereotypes? Like this is real stereotype, not the fact.
Stereotypes. Italians chasing girls, for example, that is another one.
They don't.
They do.
Okay.
So that's another fact.
Okay.
Oh, just gonna be tough.
Okay. No.
Yeah,
then,
mafia
everything
probably is a
facts.
stereotype that not every Sicilian is a mafia guy.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
This
that's a
is stereotype.
stereotype.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Rodrigo, you told me that Brazilian people are very indirect.
Yeah, so in Brazil we have a few things. I'm gonna keep this one a bit more to the business side.
Yeah.
But the first of all is in Brazil we are very relationship oriented, and I know that's very similar to the Italian, for example. But we only do business with people that we trust. And the problem with that is we don't want to hurt their feelings because we want to be nice and keep the friendship, which means that we're not very good at saying no. So, very similar to what you hear from Americans or British, but we are definitely much worse. But usually what happens is if you're going to a business meeting with a Brazilian and you're trying to sell something or get something, they will probably not going to tell you, I'm not interested, it's not going to work. They will tell you, this looks really nice, really interesting. I need to talk to my team and I'll get back to you. And the problem there is you leave the meeting thinking, wow, we're going to do business here for sure. But in my head as a Brazilian, I'm like, whew, never need to talk to this person again.
Okay. Greg, what is yours? I mean, no, I wanted to say mine. Sorry. I wanted to say mine because, I was talking to Greg and Diana. Diana is also our team member. And we were talking about like Eastern Europe and like Central Eastern Europe. There's a big misconception that Eastern Europe is a big bloc that was under like Soviet Union previously, and all Eastern European countries are considered to be like one country, like Eastern Europe. Doesn't matter, like Eastern Europe, but inside this we have like really a lot of different countries, and yeah, like also like Monica told me that Monica's. We were talking about this, and like I was asking, like, what is the misconception? And she told me, like, the really good one that sometimes when people talking, like Eastern Europeans talking about going to work for another country, it's they consider you going to work for a construction building or do some manual work, not like not the other jobs, only the manual stuff. But like it's not always the case. Yeah. So, Greg, what about you? Do you want to say about anything about Hungarians or Eastern Europe as well?
Well, I have a few things to say.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, maybe I should start with the similarities because I discovered a few. So say, for instance, back to your kissing and hugging rituals. Well, we do the same in Hungary, but as I pretty much grew up in the UK, I mean, in terms of my adult life, I started to drop it. And I have a very good friend from Turkey. Also, we do stuff together in business. And, sometimes he likes to do that in front of everybody. It's really, really comfortable. And this is something that you shouldn't do unless if you want to be labeled as a registered sex offender in the UK. So that's something. And, yeah, in terms of the small Thursdays, yes, We also have it in the UK. Thursday is the pub day, and the weekend is for the family and friends. So, yeah, that's very cool. And I think that is very, very effective because you can get wasted on Thursday with your colleagues, so everyone will have the same excuse. So Friday you can just fly, and you can do the very same thing with your family and friends. So that's also something that I learned in the UK. And in terms of stereotypes, I'm not too sure. Maybe we should ask Diana what they think about us, because
Next time in the panel, she's sitting right there.
but yeah, and also maybe you tell me, guys. But I'm not too sure. Only thing that I discovered that people think that we use smoked paprika. We don't really use smoked paprika. We use like grounded paprika, but we never use smoked one.
Okay, interesting. Okay, interesting thing. Yeah.
Yeah, Greg, just quick question. The real goulash is this Szegedinsky from Szeged, right? Because I've heard many stories about this.
That's the fish.
Let's sort it out.
That's the fish soup. But yeah, goulash is basically the guy who looks after the coast, a cowboy or a cowherd. And basically this originally is made from beef and not with smoked paprika ever. So normal paprika.
Okay.
You see.
Okay, got it. Okay, Natalie, what about you?
Yeah, the stereotype about Egyptians is that we go to work on camels and we live in tents. And,
You have pharaohs still,
and
right?
we're very ancient and we're always around the pyramids.
Yeah.
But no, we're modern.
Yeah. Okay. So the next thing is like I asked everyone to like think about a funny story or a fuck up that happened to you, either about you being a like foreigner or your nationality. Natalie, do you want to start? What we were talking about just before about the like recruitment, since you're HR recruitment lead, the difference between Egypt and France, like it was very fascinating to me. Can you tell us about it a bit?
Yeah, so I would say Egypt and Europe as well.
Yeah.
So in Egypt, it's very normal that I would put a job ad and I would write, we are looking for young women, not veiled, or white woman, or any racist sentence that you can imagine, and it's very normal. Also in recruitment process, if I find a woman that is pregnant, I can easily not hire her because she's pregnant and she'll have a baby soon. So how can she join us and then leave? But when I went to Poland first and then to France, I was fascinated by how this is discrimination, and I understood what discrimination is, and that even if a woman in her 9th month, she would do interviews because she will work after her maternity leave, and that is totally okay. This is a big difference. We cannot specify if I need a woman, a man, young, old. So all of this is very, very different. And now when I just think or hear about things that we write in Egypt, I get offended as well.
Okay. Okay. Rodrigo, you were telling me about the funny stories. Have you chosen one?
Yeah, I did choose one. And I think that's a quite interesting one because we can learn a lot from it. But I think the very interesting thing about business culture when it comes to business is if you don't understand it, there might be a lot of times that you're going to miss a deal and you don't know why. And this story, luckily I didn't lose a deal, but you see how we can both perceive the same situation very differently. So before I moved here, I went to Hong Kong and China, and I was kind of trying to figure out where we would locate the company. And the first thing that I did when coming to Europe is I left Hong Kong. I took a 16 hours flight to go to Germany, and I stopped in Frankfurt. And then from Frankfurt, I took a bus that took me a lot of hours to go to Berlin, and then to a close by city to talk to this guy from Germany that could be a potential partner. So for me, that was a very important meeting, right? I mean, just think about it. I probably stay in the road for about 30 hours to talk to this guy. When I got there, and he already knew the company, so he kind of had an idea of what we did, but obviously we wanted to go a bit deeper in the discussion. So I got there, and I swear to God, 5 minutes down the conversation, I was telling them what our plans are and what we're gonna do, and then he stopped me. He said, "Hey, Rodrigo, very nice what you're doing, but I think it's better that you leave because we're not interested." And then me as a Brazilian, very relationship-oriented culture, and we don't say no, as I just mentioned before, I wanted to kill the guy. I was like, what? It took me 30 hours to come here to talk to you specifically. We're here for 5 minutes and you don't want to even listen to my story? So I left the room completely pissed. Like you can imagine I was insulting even his grandma, you know, poor woman. But I was extremely pissed off. And in my mind, I was thinking, this guy is extremely disrespectful with my time because it took me so long to come here and, you know, he doesn't even listen to me. And then I came back my way, you know, I was in the tram going back to my hotel and I got an email. And in this email, this guy messaged me, hey, Rodrigo, it's a pity that things didn't work between us, but here's a list of companies that I think can be interesting for you. And then it hit me because the Germans are very direct. Basically, from his perspective, he was thinking, well, poor guy, you know, he came all the way from Hong Kong just to talk to me. We have an hour booked to talk, and I already know we're not going to do anything together. So why should I waste more of his time when I can actually use this time to add value to him?
Oh.
And what I realized, and obviously we kind of have that idea, especially if you work with international business, you kind of know, but when it happens in practice, it's really hard to differentiate things. And that for me was a really eye-opener because then I understand, okay, this is how it really happens in practice. This guy just wanted to help me, but we were having completely different versions of the same story happening at that time. Luckily, I didn't say anything. I was very calm, my breath. I was like, don't kill this guy. Don't kill this guy. And then I left, and he still helped me. And funny enough, we still have a good relationship. And I actually understood, okay, you know what? That's actually good. He was very respectful with me. So
That's a cool story. I mean, 2 points of view. Like basically, I was talking to Angelo about like the work across cultures, and we don't usually have the same point of view on one thing. Like you as a person, I as a person, we have different point of view on different situations, and like you see the other person, and then you're like, oh, yes, this is what it's about.
Yeah, and I think the funny thing is business culture influences everything. I mean, just for the things that we talked here, it influences the way you eat, the way you see things, the way you persuade people, the way you create relationships, the way you convince people that you can actually handle what you need to handle. It changes everything. And if you want to work in an international environment, you need to understand how things behave different or how different we behave to make sure that that doesn't happen. Because if you don't know, if I didn't know that would happen, if this guy didn't send me the email, I'll forever, you know, just have him as a terrible person in my mind. But that was really not the case. And I can guarantee you, a lot of people go through these things. They lose deals. They do very, I don't want to say stupid, but I'll say it anyway. But they take stupid decisions because they simply don't know what's really going on because of those culture differences.
Yeah. Angelo, what's your story?
No, I really sympathize with what my colleague is saying because I think this is a very important skill that everybody must have in business, because everything comes with active listening at the end of the day. Yeah, you don't have to listen and understand what you think because you are biased by what you have experienced in the past and what is your background. You should be open to understand different point of views that otherwise can lead you to bad ways also. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's a great point. I had something similar actually that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, because I love this topic because I think that you can exert a certain effort to also reshape the relation or the view, the perception that the person has of what you do or who you are, yeah, no matter all the stereotypes, yeah. And I found very important to be able to grasp the combination of state of mind that the person is at the moment they are talking to you, and what you are actually letting them perceive about you. So there are those two things, because we have a mix of emotion and rationality, right? So those things are always the first two things that arise when you talk with someone. You need to be able to grasp the emotion and the rationality that is based on what you are telling the people you're talking to, how you're behaving when you talk to them. And I had this story with a client of my previous business. So we were actually going to a meeting with a partner. We jumped on a taxi, and the taxi driver was not really, was not really kind. Yeah, probably because of the weather, because the weather influenced people a lot. I think in our region, like Czech Republic, Slovakia, Poland and Hungary, I think that the absence of sun sometimes is killing us.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, the point of the story is that the guy was super rude. And my client was rude back at him. I say, wow, this is going to be a really uncomfortable drive. I don't want to be in this car, like those two guys talking like this. So I put myself like this, and I start talking to the taxi driver. And I said, oh man, but actually I understand you, that you are don't want to get the card because probably the payment system is going to give you the money later in the month, and I don't know if something bad is going on, we have some expenses. Are you reconstructing your apartment? What's going on in your life? So this guy will start talking about me, with me, that he had a problem with the ex-wife. He was on a bad financial situation. And of course, I actually spot the point. The fact that they didn't want us to pay with the card, but just cash, was because the money would have flowed into his bank account later on in the month.
Okay.
But the red end up that he was telling me that he had like 3 wives. That he had this new relationship that now was finally working, but he actually was in love with the previous one still. Crazy thing about him personally. But the nice thing was that at the end of the drive, he say, hey man, actually, well, you know what, I think you are a great guy, and I'm gonna give you the drive for free.
Oh.
And the client say, what?
Was it in Italy?
No, it was in Czech Republic, it was in Prague.
Oh, and what is your client Czech? Was your client Czech, or was the
The client was Czech.
Oh, and like, okay.
Yeah, and also the taxi driver was Czech.
Yeah, and the guy's like, what?
Yeah, he couldn't really say, never happened in my life. I got the drive for free.
Oh, but I mean, that's a cool story.
So you see, Rodrigo, that happens if you mention that you are from Sicily. People just start to give you free stuff, and maybe they will not cut you off after the first 5 minutes. They're gonna listen and write
Start using that as well, yeah.
So, talking about stereotypes.
What's your funny story, Greg?
Well, I'm just thinking, when it comes to like fuck-up stories, very similar, actually. These cultural differences, you need to appreciate them and understand how to communicate in a given country. And, you know, as a startup coach, I often bring startups to the UK, say, for instance. And the UK people are actually, you know, some of them are very polite, and they say no, because they're also very direct, but they say the word interesting. And in Eastern Europe, if something is interesting, you think that, okay, that's really cool. They are interested in my product.
Yes.
But in the UK, it means that we are not interested at all, never come back. And
Yeah.
And you know, that happened a few times, and then I had to explain to my client, like, well, he said interested, it means, you know, not really interested. Mm-hmm. And if they say not too bad, or that means the opposite. It's very good. So yeah, but. Oh my God.
Okay, I think like I can relate to it because once I was at an event and there was a dinner, and I was saying, someone asked me, American, or I think it was he was American, how's the food? And I'm like, oh, it's good. And he said, you know that I understood that food is actually bad. I mean, like, oh no, the food is excellent. And like, oh yeah, now I understand that food is actually like good. So, I knew about it, but I completely forgot because when you Eastern European, you just say if the food is good, the food is good. It means the food is good. And you say if the food is bad, you said food is bad. That's how it works. So yeah, thanks for the stories. Another point I wanted to talk to you about is, what are the challenges in working with multicultural environment? Greg, you were telling me about the story yesterday.
Yeah, it's sometimes difficult to integrate because, say, for instance, yesterday we had a networking event and my colleagues were drinking together, and of course I wanted to drink with my colleagues, but I just realized that I am the only Hungarian and I know how difficult it is to switch to sit with the other colleagues who can actually, speak English because that's their first language. And it was very difficult to, sometimes it's difficult to integrate because I don't understand what they say, I don't understand what they're talking about, what kind of music they like and stuff like that.
Yeah, sorry. Did you have a good time though?
Yeah, still, I was very lonely yesterday.
Okay.
actually.
Next time we'll include you. Sorry. What's your take on this, Rodrigo?
Well, I think we mentioned a lot of different things already, so I'll focus on something that we didn't discuss as much. But one of the things, obviously, we talked about negotiating. We talked about, going to a customer, having a conversation. But one of the things we didn't talk as much is about management, and how, if you manage a multicultural team, how that can also be different, and that is very different between cultures.
Yeah.
So to see, for example, in the Netherlands, companies, they tend to be very egalitarian, and the decision-making process tends to involve a lot of different people along the way, which means that usually, if the king, for example, sometimes go biking, to work. And if you go to China, for example, if you are the boss, you need to have a good car and you need to be well-dressed because otherwise people just simply not respect you.
Oh. Yeah.
And the same thing happens in different cultures. So it's really, the challenges are everywhere. If you don't understand, you're simply going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes managing people. You're going to make mistakes creating connection, persuading people, everything. And maybe just a good tip, there are a bunch of different studies about that, but there's one that I really like to base my workshops on, which is called the Culture Map by Erin Meyer. So I'm not sure if you guys ever heard of it, but it's a very nice study that this woman basically mapped 8 topics in which cultures are different when it comes to doing business. And you can actually see your culture on a map and understand how different you are for a certain culture that you are managing or negotiating with. And that gives you a very good understanding on how should you behave when you put yourself on those positions. So just a good tip for everyone there. If you're interested, very good book. And that's a tool that you can also pay online. You pay $3 and you can compare, Poland with Brazil, and you see how different we are in very, basically on a lot of the subjects that we're discussing here today.
Oh, that's so cool. Angelo, what's your take on this?
I think that management is a very important point that when it comes to diversity in a team. And I was thinking about what is that? What are the two, let's say, categories that? Not categories because of course it's bad to put people into boxes, but I think that we can try to analyze 2 types of people and getting back to the stereotypes of people that are late. Usually are also bad at deadlines, meeting deadlines. Yeah. Which, personally, I always fight against. For example, it's something that I need to fight against because I tend to be overthinking somehow about the things that I'm doing. Yeah. So I need to stop myself and try to be more effective because sometimes thinking twice about something is good, but thinking is too long about something is bad. And I discovered in my career that is because there are 2 main type of personalities, let's say. One is the more inclined to creativity, that want to taste the task a little bit more. Yeah, have the time to think about it twice, study a little bit more because the thing could be done better. Yeah, and you realize that you don't know everything, so you want to see what are the ways you can explore. And then there is the more German style, yeah, more oriented to completing the task immediately, no matter what, because the deadline is this, doesn't matter, the results must be delivered. Yeah. Okay. And I think you should be able to kind of move across those 2 things because the sweet spot is always in the middle, right? And when it comes to managing a diverse team, it's really important that you understand which person are you talking to. Because the 2 different type of people, and now I'm simplifying this a lot, but I wanted to make an example to make the point clear on those 2, let's say, categories of people. Because I found myself in the position that in managing a person that is more inclined to taste the task he or she is doing longer, what helps a lot to make feel her or he comfortable is to allow him or her to break the rules. So if there is a deadline, yeah, sometimes you can miss the deadline, doesn't matter. The 80% of the time, you will have to meet the deadline, but the 20% of the time, it doesn't matter if you miss it. It's like a sort of cheat day, like when you are on diet. Yeah?
Okay.
So, and it works. Yeah?
Yeah, it does.
It
Okay.
works. So I strongly suggest to try this technique in
Okay.
your team.
Okay, Natalie.
Of course, not for everybody, but
Natalie, what's your take? Because you're the your recruitment lead. What's your thought about this? And I think this is the last question we'll answer it for this panel.
I would go back to the integration point that you were mentioning. In Poland, since I spent a year, it was very difficult because of the language. So I couldn't integrate, even though it was a English-speaking company. And I was not speaking Polish, so if it was not business-oriented, then I'm not excluded from conversation, from lunch, from anything else. So that's why I moved to Paris, and it was a decision that I need to be speaking the language of the country because I want to integrate, because I understand that it can be difficult not to speak English all the time. But from the other side, in Paris or in France, the challenge is to integrate in the country itself. Finding an apartment, opening a bank account, having a phone line is super, super hard.
Oh,
And
yeah, I heard
it's a
about
vicious circle. You can't have an apartment without a bank account, but you can't have a bank account without having an apartment. And you go in circles the first 6 months, and then it's good because you enter in the system. So
Okay.
this is a challenge for international people, especially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there was last question. I just want to finish the discussion with probably the conclusion that draws from all of our talks that we also mentioned yesterday or the day before at the panel discussion that was about that CEOs cannot hire the people the same that the CEOs are, because we need to expand the diversity in the teams, and people HR managers need to hire as many diverse and population different cultures as possible, because each one of us have different take on something on different things, and on each question we have different views. And yeah, so basically if anyone wants to have one more quick remark, we can do this, but we need to finish now. Does anyone want to say anything more? So everyone agrees with me, right?
definitely, yeah.
Of course.
Okay. So yeah, let's wrap up then. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rodrigo. Thank you, Angelo. Thank you, Gergo, and Natalie. And yeah, now we'll have I think 3 minutes to rearrange the stage, and we're off to finals of the Great Beach Contest.
Thank you.
thank you.